With all of the hype in Jujutsu Kaisen right now kind of centering around Gojo coming back into the story, him fighting Sukuna most likely, and the fact that we finally have the 10 Shadows versus the Infinity fight that we've always known is definitely going to happen in the series, a lot of people have kind of put to the wayside the fact that Yuji essentially told us exactly how he's going to get his next power up in the series. And in this video I kind of wanted to go over the idea, or what a lot of people think is going to likely happen right now in the story, in which Yuji will of course gain exponential power increases and he will become sort of a perfect human curse hybrid, which is what a lot of people have kind of dubbed this new power that he's going to gain. Before we get into the theory though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked anything you see here today. I upload a lot of different videos on a bunch of different series, and I do appreciate everybody for stopping by and watching. Thank you so much. I want to start this off by saying this isn't a theory that I came up with myself. This was from a user on TikTok that I actually saw named Yujis, and he's the one that completely came up with this, I'm assuming, so all credit for this theory goes to him. I really just wanted to kind of put this video out to kind of get his theory out, since I really did enjoy it and I do think that he's really onto something. This theory of course revolves around the fact that Yuji is actually going to gain his power up by consuming the last of the 6 death paintings that are currently. We know that this is most likely going to happen because of the fact that in chapter 220 we see Choso hand Yuji a book and he asks what is going on with this book, and he explains that it kind of talks about souls and the back door of sorts to the prison realm that Gojo is being held in. Yuji then asks Choso, are you sure, these are our siblings, and something along those lines, and Choso then remarks saying that, it's fine, as long as they can live on inside of you, I'm okay with that. And this is honestly a dead giveaway to what's going to happen in the story. The fact that he's blatantly telling Yuji that it's okay as long as they live on inside of you, and obviously we know that Yuji is very resistant to curses. The fact that he was able to hold back Sukuna after consuming so many of his fingers is honestly a testament to that. And even in Q&As, as we see in the TikTok, we see him talk about in Q&As with Gege the fact that Yuji is very resistant to curses and that he would not be able to kind of give in to them. So we obviously know that if he were to consume all 6 of these curses, he would gain their powers most likely, and he wouldn't be taken over by them. He wouldn't have his mind kind of completely hijacked from these different curses, whether he tries to or not, whether they kind of want to harm him or not. It would probably hijack his mind, but he's just so resistant to curses right now. The fact that he held back Sukuna, that it isn't going to do anything. He's honestly going to benefit from their powers. I personally think this is such an amazing use of the death paintings by Gege, and I really do appreciate the fact that we kind of finally get to maybe see the last of the 6 of the brothers, or the siblings supposedly, since they've been a very big part of the story ever since Choso kind of became a good guy, quote unquote. He's been very prevalent, he's been everywhere kind of, and I really did want to see what the rest of the siblings would kind of do, and I didn't think we would get that, but now it seems like we're finally going to see what their powers are and how Yuji's going to utilize them moving on in the story, and I honestly just cannot wait for this to happen. I think this is very cool of Gege to do, and I do think it's very amazing that he kind of pointed this out, or he kind of predicted this way before it even was said in the story, the user on TikTok, so I commend him for that. The user Yujis even gives us a sort of rundown of what the last of the 6 sort of death paintings are kind of all about, and we do see that in one of these slides of the TikTok. The first one that we see after Kechizu is Noranso, and this says that the dead body melts due to decomposition. The one after that is Shosuo, and this one is the dead body turns blue-black. The next one after that is the one that I kind of find very interesting. I don't know why, because maybe it relates to insects, and this one is called Tanso, and it says insects swarm and birds devour the dead body. I feel like if its power is kind of related to insects, maybe it would be kind of like a sort of pestilence power. Maybe Yuji can kind of curse you with like a disease, kind of have your body decay, something similar to that. I think that would be very interesting, and I do want to see what this power up or this certain death aspect is going to look like whenever Yuji manifests that and uses it to fight. The death aspect that we see after this is called Sanso, and it says parts of the body get scattered, so I don't know how that would translate into him getting a power up. Obviously they're going to kind of be different from like the descriptions that we see here, but this kind of gives us a rough estimate of what Yuji is going to kind of do with the powers, but I don't know exactly how he would utilize this, but I do want to see what it does. The next one after that is actually named Kotsuso, and it says that the blood and fat disappear, leaving only bone. And it kind of seems like, there's obviously a pattern of death where we kind of go from him having sort of flesh, sort of having a body, and then we kind of go down to the bone, it seems. And right now we kind of get down to the bone. It says that it leaves only bone. So I don't know if this would kind of be like a strengthening type of power, or it would kind of give Yuji like very strong, tough skin or something similar to that. I do know Gege is going to make it look very cool. We never know what to expect with Gege, so I can only only imagine what all of these powers are going to look like whenever Yuji manifests them. So it just kind of makes me very giddy, you know, theorizing and kind of thinking about what all of these could be. But with that being said, let's get into the last of the death aspects, which is Shoso, and it says the bones are burned to ash. I can imagine this might be some sort of fire ability that Yuji manifests, and I do think this would look very cool, Yuji having a sort of fire ability, very comparable maybe to Sukuna's fire ability that we know almost nothing about, but maybe these are kind of very similar since, you know, Sukuna has something going on with that fire ability. We don't know if that's his innate curse technique. We know that curse or cleave and dismantle are kind of his curse techniques, but we don't know what that fire ability is, so it'd be very interesting if maybe his fire ability is similar to whatever Yuji's going to manifest with this Shoso power. I also think it's just very interesting that Gege was obviously planning this from very early on in the story, probably ever since we had the fight with the other 3 death paintings, you know, Kechizu and all of them. Considering the fact that in the Q&A, Gege themselves says that if he were to consume the death paintings while he was still housing Sukuna, they would obviously get obliterated since Sukuna's soul is just that much stronger than everybody else's, so they would sort of get obliterated. So it kind of seems like Gege was setting up the fact that Sukuna would leave Yuji eventually, and this would give him the leeway to consume all of the death paintings and gain that power up. And it's kind of just been under our noses this whole time, the fact that Yuji was going to consume them and he's going to gain powers from them. We just did not know at the time in the story. This is honestly also a very good way to give Yuji, 1, a power up, and 2, give him kind of the leeway to really connect with Shoso, since we do know they have that brother thing going on, and him, you know, consuming all of the death paintings and kind of becoming a house for them to be housed in would really be good on Shoso, since he really does appreciate his brothers and he does really care for Yuji. So it's kind of cool just seeing the fact that Yuji's consuming them, he's going to gain their powers, and that might even make them that much closer. But I just think it's very interesting that Yuji's finally getting power up in the story. Near the end, we finally get to see him get that much needed power up that he's been needing. Everybody's been kind of doing a lot of different crazy things, and the power level right now in Jujutsu Kaisen after all of the events with Mahito is just so high. We have so many heavy hitters right now that Yuji just needs something to kind of match all of them, and without a curse technique he just wasn't able to. But right now we finally see his way to do that, and I think it's going to be very interesting. I love the fact that Yuji's going to get a power up this way. It's kind of gritty. Yuji just doesn't really belong in this world. He's just too nice, but we've kind of seen him change right now in the story, and I do think the fact that he's going to consume all these death paintings and kind of take on their will, their life force, and use their powers is kind of gritty, but it just is how Jujutsu Kaisen is. Jujutsu Kaisen is just a very gritty story where the heroes don't really get out of things unscathed, and they have to do a lot of extreme things to even contend with the villains, and I do love that about the story. I absolutely love that. I do also like the name that Keyes kind of dubbed Yuji, the King of Death, and I do think this would very much fit the fact that he's going to consume all of the death paintings. This would kind of be a nice moniker, a nice name for him to have moving forward, and it does kind of compare him to the King of Curses, so I do think that would be a very cool name for, you know, maybe Gege to actually give Yuji. I do kind of appreciate that. But with that being said, definitely know what you guys thought of the theory in the comment section down below, and let me know what you guys think the powers will manifest as. What do you think all of these things will mean, and what do you think each of these death aspects will kind of manifest in terms of a ability that Yuji is able to use in the story? I really do like that one where, you know, the insects and the birds kind of pick at the body. I think that would be a cool kind of pestilence type of ability that Yuji's able to use, and he'd be able to kind of maybe spread sickness to people around him. So I do kind of like that one especially, but let me know what you guys thought or what you think of these powers. Also, like the video if you liked it and subscribe, as it really does help me out, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys for sticking by and watching the videos. Thank you so much. Also, follow my socials in the top right corner. With that being said though, I'm out. Peace.